here at the Rattrap Productions studios. Rattrap Productions, we show you how to do stuff. This is part 2 of the series of how to rebuild a spring on lower control arm suspension system. So we've torn it all apart. Now we're going to refurbish everything that we have to reuse. Rattrap Productions, we show you how to do stuff. Today I'm going to show you how to refurbish the parts you're going to reuse on a spring on lower control arm suspension system. So there's not really any mystery to how to recondition this. Once I get everything off, I just took something like a brush like this, any kind of steel brush, and I cleaned up the area as much as possible, inside the channels, inside the frame as much as I could. I forced compressed air into the frame channels as much as possible to clear those out of dust and dirt and debris and all that. Same thing with right there, that cross member and the tower here. Hit everything with a rust converter. Look in the top of this video right now, the top right, and you will see a link to the rust converter I use and how to use it more specifically. So this is my reconditioning process. This is halfway through the journey. So this is just, I wire brushed things as much as I possibly could. I took 60 grit to it. This is actually after I have done a spray rust conversion. I've knocked off as much rust as I can, and anything that I have to use still, that's where I am. Here's an example of a piece that has been done and top coated. This is the sway bar. You can see that in the halfway process it's dull and not quite shiny. And I used a semi-gloss because I didn't want it super duper shiny. I wanted it kind of looking original. All right, so the mighty have fallen. Sometimes you just have to admit when you've been a little beat, and I was. So I bought this bushing removal install kit for upper control arms, lower control arms. Noticed in the fine print it said it was for GMs and not Fords. So it's nice, and I was able to do the lower with it, but the upper, no, can't do it with this guy, and nobody in town has one, so I brought it to a spring shop. So my advice is, if you need to get something like that done, try to find a place that's like a spring shop or suspension shop, and they will do it. So I just took the A-arms to them. They're going to call me when they're done, and then I will go from there with a set of A-arms with brand new bushings. Brake hoses. Now, that's been on the car for 50 years. I sprayed it with rust bomb. Hopefully that does the trick. Here we go, right? All right. Now I should be able to pull that off. Boom. Put this on. Really without even missing a beat. Okay? So now we're getting ready to install the upper arm. You see we have the new bushings painted and everything like that. Now we're about to put a new ball joint on there, and you'll notice that it does not fit. And that's because this hole here, this diameter, is a little more than this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a grinding stone on a pneumatic tool, and I'm going to ream this out a little bit. All right, now that I got all that heavy grinding done and it's in, this is the bumper that I took off, okay? This bumps onto the frame from the upper control arm. It goes in the back here, points backwards, situated exactly like this. I put that in. Boom. Put my lock washer on. Put my bolt on. 24 to 28 foot-pounds. Bada boom, bada bang. Okay, so I have fabricated the new tie rods against the old. I had to go get some 90s so that because it's a very tight fit,
and there's a cross member in the way right here. So totally done. Got the new bushing in the lower control arm ready to go. I just need to put the ball joint in. So I place the ball joint in, and it does not fit in there perfectly. So what I'm gonna do is just put it on the bench grinder. I'm just gonna grind off this ear a little bit, this ear a little bit, until I can get it where it needs to be. Bench ground it, everything. I'm gonna bring this up to 24 to 28 foot-pounds, each one of these 9/16 bolts. Then I'm gonna put a quick spray of paint on it.
Rattrap Productions, we showed you how to do stuff today. This was part 2 of the suspension rebuild on our early 70s Ford. Any vehicle that's got the spring on the lower arm, that's all you have to worry about. So we showed you how to refurbish everything needed, and we're ready now for part 3, which will be putting it all back together. Rattrap Productions, we show you how to do stuff today. We showed you how to refurbish the parts you're going to reuse on a spring on lower arm suspension system.